Hey guys, I think there's an important question that we need to be asking right now. And that question is, what is most valuable to us? What is the thing that we place the most worth on? You can probably answer that by looking at the things that you're struggling to go without right now. You can answer that by looking at the things you are filling your time with. Probably a mix of those two different things. We all have things that we devote our time to that we would call like worth it, right? But I think if we're being honest, sometimes the most truly valuable things can be the hardest to identify as worth it and to live our lives as though they are worth it. Specifically, a relationship with Jesus can be that thing that we can see as worth it, but maybe we don't live as though it is. Because it takes work and it takes time. And I believe that relationship is the most valuable thing that a person can have, but it often isn't the easiest thing. And so it can be hard for us to desire to live as though it is worth it. And then to really place the worth itness on it that we should. And one place that we see this playing out is the story of Judas. He goes to the chief priests and he asks them, like, what will you give me for giving you Jesus? I'll betray him. What are you going to give me? And they count out 30 pieces of silver for him. And from then on, he looks for a chance to turn Jesus over. So for Judas, the thing that was worth it to him was 30 pieces of silver. That was more worth it to him than Jesus was. And I think that should force us to, it forces me to ask this question, how much is Jesus really worth to me? Would I have sold him for the same amount? Would I have sold him for less? Have I traded him for less? The first step to worship is recognizing the worthiness of something. And whatever we place the most worth on is the object of our worship. So what am I saying is worthy of my time, is worthy of my thoughts and my energy? What are the things that I am worshiping? Is it Jesus? If it is, awesome. But I think a lot of times there can be those 30 pieces of silver that we would rather have than Jesus. Why do I feel the need and the desire to focus on or prioritize other things before Jesus? What are those things? Like, he's the most valuable thing, person, relationship, whatever that I can have, but am I choosing something else less valuable because it's easier? Guys, let's let this time of quarantine, of social distancing, pinpoint the objects of our worship that are not Jesus. Are there ways that, like Judas, we set Jesus aside for our work, for our school, for our sports, and even though maybe we can't do those things right now, or at least we can't do those things in the same capacity as we could before, do we prioritize those before Jesus? What about with our talents, with like, Netflix, with complaining, with anger, with all sorts of different things, the list goes on and on. Are we placing those things before Jesus? Because Jesus is ultimately worth it. And hopefully this time will help us to see that. Will give us an opportunity to see that and to experience that. But we need to not just recognize that and see that. We need to act on it. We need to live that out. Not just see that he is worth it, but live as though he is. And so wherever you are in that, whether you're walking well with him, whether you're not walking well with him, I encourage you to use this as this today's exercise as just that, as an exercise in worship. Maybe you get to express your love to him in a way you haven't before. Maybe it's a chance for you to just refocus your devotion and to stretch yourself. In Psalm 40 it says, I do not hide your righteousness in my heart. I speak of your faithfulness and your saving help. I do not conceal your love and your faithfulness from the great assembly. So let's do that. Let's sing of, let's speak of, let's write of his goodness. And let's share that. He is worthy. Let's treat him as such.